Okay. So the slides are visible, right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
okay. Okay. Right. So the slides are coming, right? And the voice is also clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. So yesterday what we did, we have talked about the vasodilators, right? So what the vasodilator were doing? Vasodilator were actually expanding or relaxing your arteries, right? So so to enhance the blood flow towards the heart, so as to carry the nutrition and importantly the oxygen, right? So that was the thing we discussed yesterday. So we have already discussed about the two important categories of drug yesterday, right? One were the organic nitrates, right? So what the organic nitrates were doing, organic nitrates were actually releasing the nitric oxide, right? And that nitric oxide was doing what? It was it was inducing or it was activating the enzyme guanylate cyclase, which was in turn was doing what? Which was converting the GTP, guanosine triphosphate, to the cyclic GMP, right? And then further it was just closing the calcium channel pump, right? L-type calcium channel pump. So that was an L-type calcium channel pump, right? The second thing which we discussed about one drug, dipyridamole, which was a phosphodiesterase inhibitor, right? So what is the role of phosphodiesterase? It actually cleaves the cyclic GMP to the GTP or the cyclic ADP, right? Or the cyclic AMP. It also cleaves the cyclic AMP and the cyclic GMP, right? So that was the two categories we have discussed yesterday to treat the angina or the condition related to the angina, right? So today what we have another category of the drug, that is the calcium channel blockers, right? So what was in the last class? Let me open the pointer, right? So in the last class, what we were discussing about the NO, how it is activating the GC, right, guanylate cyclase, and how they were inhibiting the calcium channel pump, right, from entering inside, right, or they were locating the calciums to the sarcoplasmic reticulum, right? So that was the storage for that calcium ion, right? So now today what we can do, what as a medicinal chemist we can do in a new approach, we can directly also inhibit the calcium channels, right? If the NO is coming, the nitric oxide is activating that thing, it is ultimately inhibiting the calcium channel, right? So another approach to treat the angina or the hypertension or the related disorders could be to block the calcium channels, right? So now in the today class we are going to study about the calcium channels, right? In pharmacology, I hope you have learned about this unit, right? So calcium channel blocker prevent the calcium from going through the calcium channel in the heart, right, which decreases the heart rate and the blood vessels, which causes the dilation of the blood vessel. So this is the simple definition. So basically this is the figure, right? So yesterday we were discussing about how the nitric oxide actually inhibit this calcium via different pathways, right? So today one strategy is to directly inhibit this calcium channel pump. So this is an L type voltage gated calcium channel pump, right? So calcium is entering in the exchange of a sodium, right? Always remember this, the calcium are exchanged with the exchange of a sodium, right? So now the calcium is entering, and what it is doing, it is actually causing the muscle contraction. So see what is happening, calcium is coming, calcium is being stored in the sarcoplasmic reticulum, and this stored calcium is again released to cause the muscle contraction, or this calcium is directly causing the muscle contraction, right? So yesterday what was happening, organic nitrate were doing what? Organic nitrate were inhibiting the calcium entry, right? They were indirectly inhibiting the calcium entry, right? So what they were doing, they were preventing this muscle contraction. And the second thing what they were doing, they were inhibiting this store also to release the calcium once it is entered inside, right? That was the mechanism of the organic nitrate, right? They were doing it in the different pathways, right? There was a multi-step pathways, right? First starting with the activation of GC, then conversion of GTP to the CGMP, right? There was different pathways, right? So directly what we can do, directly we can block this calcium channel pumps, right? So calcium, blocking the calcium channel pump will do what? They will inhibit this muscle contraction, right? If the calcium will not go inside the sarcoplasmic reticulum or inside the cardiac cell, right? So what it will do, it will inhibit the muscle contraction. And if the muscle contraction is inhibited, what will happen? There will be a condition of relaxation, right? And when there will be the condition of relaxation, what will happen? What will happen actually? The blood will flow, right? It will carry the oxygen, the blood pressure will drop, right? Because of the increased vasodilation, right? So these are the things, right? So the combination of decreased heart rate and the dilated blood vessel lower the blood pressure, right? So this is the important point. The blood pressure will eventually drop, right? Even if you are having a condition of the high cholesterol, high density lipoproteins, or the obesity, again if you are taking the calcium channel blocker, so many people, even the young age these days, are taking the BP medicines like the amlodipine and other thing, right? So all are these the calcium channel blockers. So what they are doing, they are lowering the blood pressure, right? And if they are lowering the blood pressure, what they are doing, they are preventing the condition of the angina and are preventing us from a susceptible heart attack, right? So these are the important things. So in your syllabus, basically we have following drugs, right? We have verapamil, we have bapidril, we have nifedipine, amlodipine. Many people of you know about the amlodipine, phalodipine, nicardipine, nimodipine. So basically, the majority of this dipine, these dipine type of drug belong to the pyridine category. Pyridine, right? So I'll be discussing about this thing. So other are the miscellaneous categories. So these drugs are belonging to the pyridine category. So we'll be discussing about each and every drug today, right? So the first drug is the verapamil, right? So this is the big structure of the verapamil, right? So what is the important thing? Verapamil is a non-dihydropyridine. See, majority of the calcium channel blocker are derived from the pyridine as a pharmacophore. Pyridine, benzene with a single nitrogen, right? So this thing, right? So this is a non-dihydropyridine. So this is the drug which do not contain a heteroatom, right? This is a carbocyclic drug, right? So calcium channel blocker used in the treatment of the angina, arrhythmia, and the hypertension. So this was the first calcium channel antagonist that was approved and introduced to the therapy in the early 1960s, right? So now, if you look at the chemical category of this drug, we are saying this is a non-dihydropyridine molecule, right? So if you look at the chemical structure, this molecule belongs to the phenyl butyl amines. Now see, this is what? This is a phenyl ring, right? And what we have a butyl, right? So methane, ethane, propane, and butane, right? So methane, ethane, propane, and butane. So phenyl we have two phenyl rings. We have butyl, right? We have butyl, and we have the amine. This one. Which amine is this? Primary, secondary, or tertiary? Anyone? Any with their knowledge of the organic chemistry. Which type of nitrogen is this? This one.
Tertiary.
Great. Good. Very good. This is tertiary. And which group is this? Isonitriles. Right? If this was CN and NC, right? NC means isonitrile and CN means nitriles, right? So you have to remember this general structure, the general functional group, right, in the molecule, right? So this was the first molecule as a calcium channel antagonist that was introduced in the 1960, and it is the non-dihydropyridine type of molecule. And when I am focusing more on the non-dihydropyridine, or I am saying it is a not a pyridine molecule. So basically in the GPAT they may ask you a question ki all the calcium channel antagonists belong to which of the important heterocyclic category, right? The majority of the calcium channel antagonist. So the correct answer will be the pyridine, right? So this is the important question that comes from this side. And one more thing they can ask you in the GPAT. They may ask you which type of calcium channel do these calcium antagonist, calcium channel blocker blocks. So the correct answer will be the L type, right? So basically when we are concerned with the heart, when we are concerned with the angina, so basically the calcium channel are of L type, right? So we'll be discussing someday about this thing, other type also, because this is not in your syllabus. I am not going into that depth, right? So we may discuss this thing, and you will be learning these things in the pharmacology as well, different types of calcium channels, right? So verapamil inhibits the L-type calcium channel by binding to the specific area of their alpha subunit. Alpha subunit means the protein alpha subunit, right? So the important is the L-type calcium channel. So when it will be inhibiting the L-type calcium channel, what will happen? It will be inhibiting the contraction of the muscle, right? Contraction of the heart muscle basically, right? And when it will be blocking the contraction of the heart muscle, the condition of vasodilation will prevail, right? Leading to the leading to the oxygen demand met by the heart, right? So this is the important thing, and mechanism will be same for all the calcium channel antagonists or the blockers, right? Now the second drug is the bepridyl hydrochloride, right? So this is the structure of this molecule, right? So again it is a calcium channel blocker, again it is a non pyridine type of molecule, right? So this molecule belong to the category of the phenylbenzamines. Phenylbenzamines. So basically this is the benza group. This one, a benzene with the CS2, right? And this is the phenyl ring, right? And we have a amine, right? Again we have a tertiary amine, right? So the NS3 has been replaced one by the this benzyl group, the second is the phenyl group, and the third is the again a methyl group here, right? So this is the substitution. This is again a tertiary nitrogen, and again this molecule do not belong to the pyridine class. This is again a non pyridine class, right? So the mechanism is again same. It will block the L type calcium channels, right? The mechanism is again same. The third drug is diltiazem hydrochloride. Many people of you have heard about this, right? So diltiazem is again a calcium channel blocker used to treat the hypertension and to manage the chronic stable angina, right? So if you look at the structure, right? Can anybody tell which ring is this? This one? Anyone? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What we call to the 7-membered ring systems? Anyone? 6 we called hexane, right?
Heptans.
What?
Heptans.
Haptane.
Yes, sir.
Right. So basically these are the haptanes, but importantly in the pharmacology or in the medicinal chemistry, we call these molecules as the agipenes. Agipenes, when basically the nitrogen is there and the sulfur is there, we call them as the agipenes, thiazepenes, right? The sulfur is there and the aza group is there. So the 7-membered ring with the this sulfur and the nitrogen are called the agipenes, right? You might have heard in the barbiturate, benzodiazepines, right? So these are the same structure, right? Agipenes ring, right? So this is the azipine ring, right? So diltiazem is the calcium channel blocker, and this molecule belong to the organic compound called as the benzothiazepines. Benzo means this one, fusion, right? and it is the thiazepine ring, right? So basically these are the organic compound containing a benzene fused to a thiazepine ring, right? A 7-membered ring with a nitrogen atom and a sulfur atom replacing the 2 carbon atoms, right? So this thing we have discussed in our last class when we were discussing about the Hans-Wilhelm nomenclature, right? So now see the beauty of the syllabus. You can correlate the things. You can correlate if you have done that organic chemistry very well. So you can directly correlate ki why this molecule is called the benzothiazepines, right? If you know about the fusion and everything, you can easily deduce the name why the thia is coming first, then the as word is coming, right? So if you know the meaning of this thia, you know the meaning of aza, you can easily deduce the structure, right? So basically in organic chemistry also, if you have thorough with this what we call this Hans-Wilhelm nomenclature, right? So you can predict the name of around 80% drugs, right? Because 80% of drugs belongs to the heterocyclic category, right? This is one of the important thing. And the second important thing in the organic chemistry is the stereochemistry, right? So if you know about the stereochemistry, you can easily predict what are the various chiral centers in a molecule, right? So these two things are important. You should always remember the peculiarities about the heterocyclic chemistry as well as the stereochemistry, right? So these two things are important when you are carrying forward with the medicinal chemistry, right? Pharmacology you can learn because in the medicinal chemistry there will be not much about the pharmacology, right? There will be more about the chemical structure or the SARS, right? So the name and the stereochemistry you can easily remember by grasping further your concept on these things, heterocyclic chemistry and the stereochemistry, right? So again, this is the same thing. Again, it has the same mechanism of action, right? It will block the L-type calcium channel, right? So again, it is the same mechanism, right? Now we are moving into an important category, and the majority of GPAT questions will come from this point, right? So basically, we are talking about the dihydropyridine carboxylic acid derivatives, right? So now, again, the Hans-Wilhelm nomenclature is coming into the picture, right? For example, if you know about what is this dihydro, right? Last time what we have did, we have done some nomenclature, right? So we were calling the molecule with one absent double bond, what we were calling dihydro. And if the two double bonds were missing from an aromatic ring, what we were calling it tetrahydro, right? So dihydro means absence of one alternate double bond, right? So the second thing is the pyridine. It will have a pyridine ring. The third is will be having the carboxylic acid derivative. So carboxylic acid derivative can be anything. It can be an ester, it can be amides, right? So these are the things. So for example, see, this is the general structure, right? But we have a dihydropyridine. It is not a complete pyridine, right? See the double bond. One double bond is missing, right? So it will be a dihydropyridine type of molecule, right? And what we have a phenyl ring, right? And what we have some carboxylic acid derivatives or the esters, right? So now, uh, this is general SAR. This is general SAR. What are molecules we should look like, right? So this is a very simple structure, right? This is a very simple structure, dihydropyridine, right? And the two esters, right? Now there are some substitution. For example, if I start from here, DHP means dihydropyridine, right? So for example, this is the H. Para positions to the DHP must be unsubstituted. So we cannot put any group here. Otherwise, the activity will be reduced. Now see this thing. Now this X is placed between this bond. What it means? It is not here. I cannot say this is this ortho position. I cannot say this is the meta position, right? So it is in between. Whenever there is a functional group in between, it means that this X can reside at this ortho position or this meta position, right? So this X can be anywhere. This can be here or this can be here or this can be in the both side, right? So this is the meaning when we are drawing a bond, a substituent from the center, right? Center of this bond, right? So this is the meaning of that thing. So now this X, right? Ortho or the meta substitution, it it is an ortho, it could be ortho, it could be meta, or it could be both, right? So this is the meaning of this thing. Increases the activity. Bulky group will affect the conformation, right? So basically what we have to put the ortho or the meta substitution and the bulky group. If you are putting some bulky group, that will stabilize the conformation. Conformation means the binding to the receptor, means it will be in the conformation that will be perfectly fitting to that particular receptor, right? So this is the thing. So the phenyl ring. So this is the phenyl ring at the C4. If you are putting another phenyl ring at the C4, will enhance the activity, right? So this is talking according to this. So this is the phenyl ring is very important, and you cannot replace this phenyl ring with any heterocyclic group. So this is the position fourth. If you remember the nomenclature, right? So this is the fourth position, and the fourth position what we have a phenyl ring. So phenyl ring enhances the activity, right? Then what we have esters, right? These esters are must because we are saying dihydropyridine carboxylic acid derivatives, right? So firstly we have to give that particular pharmacophore. We have to make a structure with the dihydropyridine and with the carboxylic acid derivative. So these are the carboxylic acid derivative esters, right? So ester at position number C3 and C5. This is C3, 1, 2, 3, right? 4 and 5, right? So esters at C3 and C5 will do what? They will enhance the activity, right? Non-identical ester increases the selectivity. So for example, if I am putting the esters, right, it is increasing the activity. And non-identical ester means I will be putting here some different structure. For example, here I am putting a methyl ester, here I am putting a ethyl ester. So if they are different, so they will increase the selectivity, because selectivity means because there are different type of calcium channels, right? So the structure of the calcium channel blocker is almost same, right? So to change the selectivity between different calcium channel receptors, what we have to do, we have to play with these esters, right? What we have to do, we have to make them non-identical. And when we are making them non-identical, what we are doing, we are increasing the selectivity, right? So this is the thing. Then what we have, these two are position at the second site and at this sixth site. So largest substitution at 6 6 C6, this is the sixth position, are tolerated and may enhance activity. So what we require here, we require the larger substitution, right? And at the C2 what we require, larger substitution are tolerated and may enhance activity. So you could see here some bulky group at both the C2 and the C6 positions, right? So there what we can do, we can put some bulky groups, right? Then we have the following, this pyridine ring, right? So N1, this is N1. When we are giving the Hantzmann-Wildman nomenclature, we always start with the heteroatom, right? So this is the N1. So N1 must be unsubstituted. We cannot put any substitution at this side. Otherwise, it will drastically decrease the activity, right? So this is the important SAR. Now we will be correlating this SAR with the structures, right? Now we are going to the first structure, that is nifedipine, right? So all these molecules like the nifedipine is a dihydropyridine calcium channel blocker, right? So again, see the structure. This is the common structure, phenyl ring, pyridine, and what we have the ester. So this is the common thing. Now see the substitution change. What we have, we can have a substitution at this side and this side. So what we have a nitro group here, right? And what we have a methyl group at this side, right? The bulky groups, right? So this is a very simple structure, right? So what it will do, it will block the L type calcium channels, right? Easy, yeah? This is very easy structure, right? Then nifedipine. Then we go to the amlodipine. Now see the structure again. What we have again, this is the common thing. This pyridine ring is the common, right? Dihydropyridine, sorry. And this is the phenyl ring, right? So in the phenyl ring, what we should have, we should have either a substitution at this side or this side, right? So what we are having? We are having a chloro group, right? Again, here what we have non-identical ester, right? For example, this is the methyl ester, and here what we have a ethyl ester, CS3 and CS2, right? What we have a non-identical ester placed here, right? This is again an important thing, right? Now the bulky position, C6 and the C2. So in the C6 what we have a methyl group, right? And in this C2 what we have, again we have a ether type of moiety, right? A bulky group again, right? So this molecule amlodipine is a calcium channel blocker, right? It's again belong to the dihydropyridine carboxylic acid derivative group, right? And it will inhibit the L type calcium channel. The mechanism will remain the same, right? So it is an again an easy molecule, right? Now I am going to the phalodipine. See, and all these pyridine molecule will be having this common dipene, right? If you look at the previous structure also, nifedipine, right? Dipene is a common. So dipene means the pyridine dihydropyridine moiety, right? So amlodipine, right? See the name, phalodipine. So if in the exam, if you know about what do you mean by the dipene, you can easily give the right answer, right? So now we are going to the phalodipine. Now see in the phalodipine what we have, see I was talking about this side. We can either put a functional group at this side and or the functional group at this side or into the both side, right? So what they have done, they have put the functional group at both the ortho and the meta site, right? The chloro substitution is there, dichloro substitution is there at the ortho and the meta site, right? Then what we have two esters, and again these esters are non-identical, right? To enhance the selectivity. So how you could say these esters are non-identical? See again here what we have a methyl ester, and here what we have a ethyl ester, right? So this is the thing. And again at the C6 position and the C2 position what we have two methyl groups, right? So the structure is pretty simple again, right? And the mechanism will be, it will again block the high voltage gated L type calcium channels, right? And if it is inhibiting the L type calcium channel, what will happen? It will decrease the blood pressure, right? And once the blood pressure will be decreased, what will happen? The angina condition or the chest pain condition will get subsided, right? So this is the thing. Then what we have nicardipine, right? Again structure is very same, right? What we have here, we have a phenyl ring, and in the phenyl ring what we have in the meta position, we have the nitro, right? We have a nitro, so we are going according to the SAR. Then what we have the two esters, right? And here what we have a methyl ester, and here this is the bulky ester, right? These are the non-identical ester and this is the bulky ester, where we have also substituted a nitrogen, and this is in the tertiary form, right? So this is in the tertiary form. And again what we at the C6 position and the C2 position is substituted by a methyl, right? So methyl is basically a bulky group, right? So this is again a very general structure according to that SAR, right? Mechanism of action will again be very same. It will inhibit the influx of extracellular calcium across the myocardial and the vascular smooth cell membrane by inhibiting the L-type calcium channels, right? So the mechanism will be very same, right? So now we have another molecule, nimodipine. Again, the name dipine means it is a pyridine derivative, dihydropyridine derivative. So what we have again, this thing is common, right? This thing is common. We have a nitro group at the meta position. And now what we have a ethyl type of ester, right? So this is our ester. This is our ester group. This is ester functionality. And what we have a dimethyl here, and we have a ether type. This is ester and this is an ether linkage, O, right? ROR, if you remember, right? This is an ether linkage, right? Again at C6 and C2 what we have two methyl groups, right? These structures are very easy to remember, right? So these molecule will do what? These molecule will block the L-type voltage gated calcium channel. Again, the mechanism will be very same, right? So this is the thing. And with this, we have finished the part A of unit 2, right? Part A was belonging to the vasodilators and the calcium channel blockers, right? This is the thing. So now any questions, queries or anything? Any questions, queries, doubts? So from this unit, what you can expect a short note on the calcium channel antagonist or the calcium channel blocker, right? So that their structure will be very simple type of structure, but it will have, it will be dihydropyridine, right? Carboxylic acid derivative, right? So what you have to do, you have to draw a simple pyridine, right? Dihydropyridine, and at the C4 position you have to put a phenyl ring, right? It is again a simple thing. You have to just put a benzene ring at the C4 position of the pyridine, and at the C2 and the C6, what it will do be, it will be two bulky groups, and at the position number C3 and the C3, 4, 5, C3 and C5 will be the esters, right? Ester can be same or ester can be non-identical, right? So the mechanism is very simple. Sorry, the SAR is very simple. So you may expect a question from this point, the calcium channel antagonist, right? So this was this very simple thing. So now if anyone have any questions, queries or doubt, they may ask. Anyone with any questions, doubt, queries, और कुछ नहीं भी समझ में आया तो they can speak up. बट द इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग अगर कोई ऐसा है इसमें जिसको मेडिसिनल केमिस्ट्री समझ में नहीं आ रही है, दे डू नॉट नो हाउ टू राइट द मेडिसिनल केमिस्ट्री, सी द इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग इज you should know something about the organic chemistry, right? And when I am talking about the organic chemistry, the heterocyclic chemistry is very much important, right? In the heterocyclic chemistry, firstly you should remember about the name, Hand-Wildman nomenclature, right? If you remember about the Hand-Wildman nomenclature, half of your problem will be solved, right? This was the first thing. The second thing, I have not gone into that depth in the stereochemistry right now, but I'll be discussing about the stereochemistry aspect in the drug development also. So the stereochemistry is the second important thing, right? You should know, right? So these are the things. These are the important things. The two important things are there, right? So any doubts? Anyone? Any doubts, queries or anything? So if there is no doubt, so I'll be canceling this class, right? So thank you for joining. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.